Hey everybody, this is Prelude here, and this is the start of Mission 4. This will actually be the prelude to that mission, and we're going to recap what occurred since the time of the monolith and the sacrifice that occurred. So the High Marshal Dreed was successful in his sacrifice of the 7 sisters, and was able to have the rest of the great 6 company come through, and as well as his ally who had just arrived, which is Capt Ku'Bludd and his lieutenant Khorne. So both of them had an audience with High Marshal Dreed and told him, congratulated on his success, and also to bring word from Lord Rathgar from Hoth. And Lord Rathgar had a request. He needed another sister to be sacrificed at the monolith in order to open a portal on Hoth, allowing the World Eaters to enter there and to take control. High Marshal Dreed was in a way aware of the activities on Hoth, but wasn't sure about his actual role to aid in their conquest. So he took the words of Capt Ku'Bludd and said, agreed, I will aid you in this affair. I will have to send out a infiltration party to actually capture a sister. So he looks to his side and looks to Khorne, who is in charge of the chosen infiltration team, and he commands Khorne to go and capture him a sister. He says, by any means necessary, capture her, but I need her alive. Khorne agrees, he nods, and begins to send out his units to go capture this sister. Meanwhile, after that, the High Marshal Dreed then approaches the rest of the council and talks to him about the rest of the plans. After the sister is captured, we will now proceed to look for the chair of Khorne. Capt Ku'Bludd agrees, and he said, yes, but I will be a part of that. After all, this is an artifact of Khorne, and I will be involved. High Marshal Dreed agrees, and he said, of course, it belongs to your patron, and we will acknowledge this request. However, I will be sending representatives with you on this particular errand. I will be sending representatives. I will be sending a champion, Jadros, who's from the Lords of Rust, and I'll be sending Grav also, who is a plague marine from one of the units coming out, and they will aid you. Bone Crusher also wanted to aid in this affair, but High Marshal Dreed says, no, I need you to lead the armies in the attack against the valley. Your role is vital in this mission. You'll be sending Iron Claw instead, and he will go on your behalf. Bone Crusher did not like this. He just grunted and said, and agreed with the High Marshal. So High Marshal Dreed had let everyone know what the actual plans would be, and they were threefold. 1, the infiltration team would go acquire the sister. 2nd, Bone Crusher will lead an attack into the valley to distract the loyalists. And 3, a selected group of lords would go forth where the hidden tunnel was and retrieve the chair and bring it back. We'll see how this other plan unfolds. The infiltration team that was sent out, led by Khorne, was actually tracking a sister who was out on a routine patrol with some guardsmen. And unaware to them, their team crept up and began to do an ambush against their unit. And as you can see, Khorne and his unit have snuck up and are ready to confront the unsuspected Imperial Guardsmen. At the last seconds, the Imperial Guardsmen were able to detect an intruder and lays heavy fire upon the ambushing host. The chosen unit, the chosen infiltration unit, charged into the Imperial Guardsmen. The Imperial Guardsmen shot at the incoming attackers but did no damage to him, and were now fully engaged with the unsuspected enemy. The Imperial Guard were hit with such ferocious attacks from the infiltration unit and wiped out the entire squad, leaving only the one sister by herself. She swung violently against her abductors, but caused no wounds at all. "Come," said Cain, "your sacrifice awaits." Cain returns with the sister and brings it before the High Marshal Dreed. "Excellent," says the High Marshal Dreed. "Now the sacrifice can begin." The High Marshal Dreed was ready to sacrifice the sister when Ku'Bludd steps forward. "I must sacrifice her. This has to do with my honor and my redemption with the World Eaters. I will sacrifice her." High Marshal Dreed hears the power and the forcefulness behind Captain Ku'Bludd's voice and agrees. He says, "As you wish, proceed." Ku'Bludd takes the sacrificial blade and, after chanting the 8 sacred words of Khorne, sacrifices the sister on the altar. As her blood drips from her body, it reactivates the blood crystal once again and opens up a portal to Hoth. From the actual monolith, Hrothgar is able to view the sacrifice ceremony and is well pleased. "Very good," he tells Ku'Bludd. "I am very pleased at what you have done. However, you still need to retrieve the seat of power which belongs in Khorne in order to gain the favor of the demon primarch Angron. You cannot get your honor back, neither are your followers, until you have accomplished this task." Ku'Bludd nods and accepts the role and says, "I will accomplish this task." He then turns to the High Marshal Dreed and informs him, "I must lead the war party to retrieve the seat." High Marshal Dreed, after hearing the words of Lord Hrothgar, agrees. "Go, take the group that you've been designated and go retrieve the seat. Regain your honor." As for Bone Crusher, High Marshal Dreed looks towards him and says, "Initiate the battle. Send out your forces and attack the loyalists. Let none survive." Bone Crusher grunts and begins to lead out the assault.